Hey guys, Don here. Welcome to Podiatry Practice Mastery. This is the $1 Million Minute. I'm recording this as I'm going to be off tomorrow going to Strategic Coach. So for some of you, you might not know, but 4 times a year I go to Toronto and I go there to get coached, and it's a group that is Dan Sullivan. It's something I've been doing for a while. Actually, I didn't know how long it was, but someone sent me kind of to do a referral for them or help and talk to another doctor. I've been doing it 11 years, and the reason I keep doing it is because I keep finding benefit. What it is, it's basically a mastermind group that I go to, but I had a kind of interesting, kind of an upsetting experience on my travels. I always go porter, and what you know about something, to encourage something you want to encourage something you want to make it easier, to discourage something you want to make it harder. And this is something in general in our practice. And so what Porter has started to do, it's the airline, is that if you don't pay extra for a seat, you also don't pay extra for a virtual boarding pass. So you actually have to go to the counter and get the boarding pass, which is kind of upsetting. So I am willing to pay $12 to get a virtual boarding pass so I can get on with my flight and not have to wait here in the international terminal. So it's kind of an interesting thing. So think about that for your practice, I guess. What's the benefit to this is, well, what you want to encourage, make easier, and what you want to discourage, make harder. So my thought is you potentially almost could have like a subscription in your office, and for people that pay the subscription, they could get online forms. Those that don't pay, they don't have to get there half hour early, fill out the forms, and make it much more complicated. So a way of making a subscription or a membership a little bit possible in your practice. But let me go over what happened today. It was a half day because I'm going to be traveling. So the first thing, there was a patient, Lamisil follow-up, and she had a difficult case. So she had already been on Lamisil, she had already been on diflucan, didn't get better. Her nails were really thick, 28-year-old female, so we decided to do bilateral hallux nail avulsions for her, and she was going to come back as needed. Next patient was a 57-year-old female that came in. She was recently diagnosed as type 1 diabetic after having like a viral issue that kind of triggered the diabetes. I think it was like an autoimmune issue. She had a cracked orthotic. So what I tend to tell patients is that orthotics last about 5 years, and then if they crack, I made her a new one. So I made her a new one, and I did a diabetic foot exam for her. That was orthotic number 1. Next patient was a Lamisil follow-up. They had been on Lamisil, been on my booster, and now they're back for the follow-up. And then they have one like longitudinal line in one toe that was kind of like darkened and discolored. So I rarely do this, but I took a Dremel, and I just dremeled down that line, and I'm going to have them keep using the topical stuff on their skin and put a little bit on the nail. I don't know if it'll work. I don't know why it's there. It's been over a year he's been on this stuff, but there's just one line, and so I ground that out. Very rarely do I grind. I don't even use the grinder ever for routine days. We haven't talked about that, but on my routine days I do not use grinders. The only thing I use the grinder for is when I'm prepping for Onifix or Cariflex, those nail procedures. Another patient came in. He thought he had a wart, but it was actually a callus between the second and third toe. We did an office visit, checked him out, and we talked about doing an exhaustectomy in the future, but I just trimmed the calluses today. And I always preface to those patients, it's not going to be covered. We charge $75 for callus or nail care if it's not covered by insurance, so I told him that. Another patient came in for a diabetic foot exam, had some lower back pain, and he had some ingrown toenails. This was a new patient, referred over. And so for the ingrown toenail that were chronic, he had them removed in the past, so I scheduled him in about 2 to 3 weeks to do a matrixectomy. And I also, at that time, because of his back pain, we did scan him for orthotics, and so he'll pick up his orthotics at that time. Next patient was a 25-year-old female that came in for an ingrown toenail. Once again, was a problem in the past, so we did both edges on the left great toenail and see that patient back in 3 weeks. Other patient, established patient with a porokeratoma on the lateral fifth met base, one of those like prominent fifth met bases. So we did the porokeratoma, which is a lesion destruction code, like salicylic acid with an aperture pad, and he'll come back as needed. And then another patient came in for an Epat. This was a plantar fascial. I did focused and radial and unfocused because we're trying out the soft wave in this office. And then I'm going to see that patient back in 6 weeks to see how they're doing. Had another patient, 76-year-old. This is kind of a complicated patient. He has like a kind of a stable Charcot on his right side. He had gotten a new AFO, and that caused him to ulcerate on the first med head. That got infected. been wearing a walking boot. That walking boot ulcerated his fifth toe. So just kind of been going on and on with this gentleman. I kind of like the guy. That's why I haven't sent him to the wound center. So now we're trying to get him into a kind of a P-door type of a shoe with a diabetic insole. And I'm just kind of following him up. I'm going to see him in a month because he is also getting VNA. So one way of reducing those kind of frustrating patients, you probably already know this, but I send them to VNA and have the VNA do the addressing so I can do them a little bit less frequently. Then another patient came in, 52-year-old female, uncontrolled diabetic, came in with a red-hot swollen foot, put her in a walking boot, got an MRI, and it showed Charcot. So I sent her to Hanger to get a Crow boot, and I prepped her. She'd be in the Pro boot for about 6 months, and then I will transition her to a regular AFO. I don't do Crow boots in my office. I probably could through Arizona, but I don't do enough of them. Maybe I will do the AFO afterwards if she has the right insurance. And then another patient was a nail sample follow-up, and I reviewed that with her and took care of the nail sample. And then the last patient was another orthotic follow-up, 36-year-old female, 1-year orthotic follow-up. I'm trying to reduce the low-level visit, so I'm going to see her back actually in 2 years. That's why I'm not seeing her back yearly. Anyway, those are the ideas for today. I will share some of my tips I learned from Strategic Coach. I was playing around on my it's called a wiki, so Wikipedia. So I have a Podiatry Practice Mastery Wikipedia that I've been putting together. So I've been, as I've been learning things from this guy Alex Hamosi, who I like, I've been putting them in a little note file there. So if you want to look at those, you can go to podiatrypracticemastery.com/wiki, WIKI, and you can get access to that. It's a Notion workbook. If you're not familiar with Notion, it's basically kind of like Google Notes, but like multiple layers deep, almost like a OneNote, but I think it's a little better look to it. So if you want to look at that, feel free. If you have any other things that are working for in your practice, let me know, specifically on nail fungus. That's what I'm kind of working on right now. See what people's opinions are on ways to make it more profitable for us. So send it if you have any good things, and then I will tell the group. Okay, thanks guys.